It's news o'clock. Breaking news, mansion and cinema sitting in a tree, OBSTRUCTING. Well, the bad news is it looks like the president won't pull through on filibuster reform, but the good news is you can hide your shame behind a free mask. That's right, even after Biden soaked in the White House's equivalent of a Bacta tank long enough for the energy to wince through a rousing speech on the importance of voting rights, mansion and cinema, the Statler and Waldorf of the Senate, are still a hard no, opting instead to stick to their principles, asterisk citation needed. You know, watching the Democrats cave on basic common sense legislation, it's almost like we weren't at all capable of orchestrating unprecedented election fraud. You know what? Sometimes you spend so much time calibrating the Chinese-made Italian satellites, you drop the ball on the whole evil socialist takeover. Though it could all be a moot point if Mike Lindell does have the goods to imprison 300 million of us for election fraud, which if you're a stickler for math is almost double the number of people who voted in 2020. We probably should stop putting him on TV, right? Set everything up, sure, but maybe don't turn the cameras on, you know? Meanwhile, Republicans are furious Biden compared those opposing voting rights to Jefferson Davis. Yes, how dare you associate us with the guy whose statues we vigorously defend? Was it a step too far? I don't know, but what's more American than old white men arguing what is and isn't racist? Mitch McConnell said the comparison was beneath the presidency, which is the furthest any Republican has gone to admit Biden is actually the president. Though with McConnell's neck, I don't see how he sees what's beneath anything. Breaking news, you do coup, boo! We're learning more and more about the steps the former president took to steal the 2020 election, including a draft executive order for the Pentagon to seize voting machines. Now that may sound like a coup, but rest assured, if it happened, it would also look like one. Now, I don't know if we'll ever solve the mystery of how a guy who never had majority support his entire presidency could lose an election, but I'm glad the GOP didn't go with this plan because it would have been a little hard to hear them call the John Lewis Voting Rights Act government overreach over the noise of the National Guard prying voting machines out of the wall. But this is the level of hypocrisy you would expect from a country that annually celebrates a man critical of capitalism with the best deals of the year on a new Nissan Altima. Another plot involved sending false electors to the National Archives led by Giuliani, the perfect choice to hide something fake without anyone noticing, which would have relied on 80s sitcom shenanigans to work. Someone with the real electors turning a corner too quickly, bam, papers everywhere, oh no, which one's which? I'm sure it's fine. This throw spaghetti against the wall to see what sticks mindset is both dangerous for America and Giuliani since he doesn't need the carbs. Meanwhile, President Biden celebrated a year of, I don't know, what would you call it, frail acknowledgement of America's challenges, though his squinting is patriotic since it makes us all ask, oh say, can you see? But notice how even the left acknowledges Biden's shambling presidency. Left-wing media is pounding him, he's so low in poll after poll he'd happily take Prince Andrew numbers, and I haven't seen one piece of presidential merch since my Biden-Harris magnet fell behind my radiator. The only person covered head to toe in Biden's name is probably him, so he remembers it. Compare that to deluded Republicans who a year into Trump's disastrous presidency called all criticism fake news and openly floated him on Mount Rushmore, which would have been impossible, morally, and since no sculptor alive could make that hair out of granite. Breaking news, Breyer retires. That's too easy. How about Stevens leaving, huh? Stephen Breyer, the Supreme Court justice you've never actually thought about but have no problem believing has been there the whole time, has announced that he's ready to have his 3-decade career promptly ignored over speculation of who will replace him, causing President Biden to reiterate his campaign pledge to nominate the first black woman to the court, which, just like when I found out Ian McKellen's never won an Oscar, makes me shout, how has that not happened yet? There have been so many opportunities, and they deserve it way more than that guy who won't stop screaming. Meanwhile, Fox News took time between segments about godless BLM protests and evil migrant caravans to make the point that we shouldn't bring race into this. Really, Fox News? All employment should be based on merit alone? You first. Let he who is without Gutfeld cast the first stone. Look, this isn't about affirmative action. It's about making sure the highest court in the land has at least more diversity than a Fox News segment discussing diversity. Quick, someone throw a bag of M&Ms to distract Tucker Carlson till we get this done. Speaking of the danger of too much whiteness, seamless transition, the East Coast has been rocked by a nor'easter causing damage, cutting off power, and worst of all, suggesting that's a proper contraction. But come on, a blizzard's fine. It's not like we had a pandemic already going on. On the upside, pay for 2 Roland Emmerich plots, get the next one free. Meanwhile, Putin continues his military encroachment like he doesn't even care I exhausted all my Ukraine puns back with Trump's first impeachment. This after taking over Crimea, which before its annexation was part of Sao Ukraine. See, that doesn't work. If you need help understanding the conflict, it's basically Neil Young versus Joe Rogan. One side has a good point, the other side's a bully, and NATO is Spotify, saying that, well, we're the reason you're in this mess, but leave us out of it. See you next week.